It's Wednesday and you're watching FreightWaves Now. I'm your host, Anthony Smith, and coming up, we're going to have Zach Strickland with the carrier update brought to you by PowerFleet. Stay tuned.
Welcome to your carrier update for this Wednesday. I'm Zach Strickland, and we are brought to you by PowerFleet. Checking out our tender rejection index for van and reefer modes, both of our two primary modes of transportation in the truckload industry that we track here. 27.76% for the van rejection index today. That is slightly higher, 0.08%, 8 basis points in the financial industry higher, inching up. Not a lot of movement in the van rejection index. I pulled up the 3-month chart here just to show, even though capacity has been very tight, we have not had a lot of changes here over the last several months. Since about Labor Day, I've got it pulled all the way back out to Labor Day, and it's just, you see, it's kind of bouncing between 25, 28%. We did break through that 28% barrier for the first time, just over a week ago, right before Thanksgiving, as anticipated. Things have kind of been middling here for a little bit. Not a significant decline in the overall rejection rate for the van sector. Now, reefer, that's a different story. We have started to fall down a little bit coming out of Thanksgiving. 46%, extremely high tender rejection rate for the reefer markets up there. So any kind of fall is not significant at this point unless it just falls right through the floor here. Keep in mind, we were around 4 or 5%. Back in May and June for the reefer rejection index. So we have come a long way since the first part of this year. Starting to come down a little bit there, not a significant amount though, so don't really expect, if you are out there, to get any more significant changes in your spot rates this week versus last week. Looking at our weighted rejection index, this one does include all reefer and van rejections in it for the overall markets, and it combines it with market share to make sure that Atlanta tender rejection rates are valued a little bit higher, or a lot higher than, say, a Bismarck, North Dakota, where there's just not a lot of freight volume in the market. Columbus, Ohio, leading the pack today. We're going to talk about this market and Dallas, more specifically here in a second. But looking out throughout the United States, we see some volatility. We do have a lot of significant movement in the weighted rejection index. We do consider about a movement of any value over 5 or under -5 to be statistically significant moves in the rejection rate. So there is still a lot of volatility in the market, even though our van rejection rates not moving a lot, reefer rejection rates still very high, but we are seeing some pretty significant movements at high levels. Now, you're not going to see anything, even though Dallas down here showing a pretty significant drop in the weighted rejection index, you're not going to see your spot rates come all the way back down to contract overnight by any means, but we are coming back down off of some significant highs over Thanksgiving. The rest of the country, look out over the southeast. You see Atlanta, some spots around Alabama, New Orleans specifically coming down. Joliet, Chicago, also seeing rejection rates come down here over the last few days coming out of Thanksgiving. Again, not necessarily unexpected for this time of year. We do expect a lot of these markets to start to stabilize as drivers come back on the road. A little bit less supply side issues there by, as we start to get into what we consider Christmas peak. Now, what does Christmas peak look like this year? That's a big mystery because we have had a lot of people staying at home. E-commerce is already ingrained in transportation at this point in time. So you can see a lot of ups and downs in this market right now. Columbus there in the dark blue. You still got the Pacific Northwest over there in Twin Falls and around Portland, Oregon, showing some significant changes in their rejection rates. Looking at our Columbus market here, you can see van rejection rates shooting up here over the last several days, 34%. On the van side, reefer rejection rates coming back down. Not a huge reefer market by any means, but if you're looking to haul some freight out of Columbus, look for some tweener freight. That's leading the way, 38% rejection rate. Tweener freight, 450 to 700, or 800 miles, I should say. Dallas, Texas, again, both of them are coming down. Van and reefer, both rejection rates coming down, still very high, 22 and 23%. Tweener rejection rates, just like with Columbus, leading the way at a 30.89%. So if you are looking for any freight out of Dallas, look for that freight, and that'll do it for today's carrier update.
And that's going to do it for this Wednesday edition of FreightWaves Now. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, you can check out all of our content on all your favorite streaming platforms, including Apple TV. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.